welcome to the Tamworth FC Social, a podcast all about Tamworth Football Club. The Lambs are on a 6-game winning run after their statement 3-0 victory away at Warrington Town on Tuesday night. Tamworth are now 5 points clear at the top of the National League North, although second place Scunthorpe have played 1 game fewer. A reminder, you can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. You can click subscribe below this video and switch notifications on to be updated when we upload new episodes. So then only one place to start. Graham, you braved the cold and made that trip to Warrington Town on Tuesday. What's your thoughts?
Firstly, it was absolutely freezing. It's probably the coldest place on earth, the Warrington ground. So exposed. In the first half, it was down the one end. Second half was a bit better because we were under cover. But yeah, what a fantastic result. I think it's more about not just the result, but the manner of the way we went about our business. Let's come away from home on a Tuesday night and get that result against a team that have, they barely lost at home in a long time. And we just completely dominated. We just looked a yard sharper all over the field and justified our reason why we are where we are. Some teams and fans have, questioned it, team coming up, why are we where we are. And you can see that from the way we played last night. It was superb. I think one thing that not necessarily has been really sort of touched upon before is, and something that I really noticed last night was the fitness of the players. They all seemed a hell of a lot fitter than the Warrington players. It was a great performance and a statement win for us, really.
Do you agree, Brett?
Yeah, fantastic result. 3-0 against a team like Warrington, who generally have got a really good home performance. Really impressive. I was really, really pleased with the result. Just such a positive time at the minute. It's a great start to the year. 5 wins on the bounce. We're absolutely flying at the moment. We were talking a little bit before the pod. It draws so many parallels to the year when we went up from the old Doc Martens before. The feeling, just the way the club just is galvanised together. I think that was a real statement result. It's the 90th anniversary this year. Just thinking back to the 75th anniversary as well. I remember that home game kicking off against Burscough when we let balloons off start the opening game of the season. If we were to go up this year with that time in our history as well, it would be something to look back on really, really proud and say, on our 90th year, we had this fantastic season and look what we did. Nearly 20 years ago as well, to that day would have been when we went back up from the Doc Martens. Possibly 20 years ago, in fact.
Sometimes you get moments with a successful team in a season where you can sort of pinpoint as the turning point. Do you think, Graham, this feels like that? It certainly feels to me like something has changed. Whether it's just my mood, I'm not sure.
It did, yeah. It really, I think just that second half on Tuesday, things just... It did kind of feel a bit like that. I think it's more of the fact that it's the manner, like I say, in which we won that game. And the past few games where we've not necessarily been at our best, but we're just so solid and we're getting the job done and we're winning. And then when we do put on a show, we're blown them away, really. And to get, compliments from, the sort of Warrington fans on social media saying, you guys were fantastic. We hope you go up. It was the best team we've seen here all season. Was even somebody that said, I actually really enjoyed the football you were playing, which is very, very unusual. To me, like those kind of comments, like you say, it does feel like that kind of turning point. I think we've got to keep our feet on the ground. It's we've got some tough games in January. It's not going to be easy, but if we keep doing what we're doing right now, we'll keep winning games, and the pressure then is onto Scunthorpe. And they've got a very, very tough game against Brackley on Saturday, and I don't think they'll get 3 points there. I genuinely don't. I think psychologically that's gonna, that's gonna sort of hurt them a little bit now. I'd think with that 5 point gap.
It's interesting as well, the sort of shift lately, because Tamworth were looking up, weren't they, a little bit at first place, and the tables have turned, seems really quickly. It feels like there's been a massive mood shift, and you've now got Tamworth on what I make their best run of the season with 6 games, 1 in a row. But now you've got 2 more quite tricky away days, I think it's maybe fair to say. When you've got 3 in a row like that, none of them are especially close. Do you think, Brett, that might take a toll?
Yeah, well, I think Warrington was probably harder than Darlington on Saturday. I know they've had a new manager and they've had a couple of games where they've probably been a bit better. But I think other than the distance, Warrington was the harder game. I think for me now, what the difference is with the Warrington result. So if we win on Saturday, we will. Let's say if it stays like this, if we win on Saturday and Scunthorpe win on Saturday, we will go into the game with Scunthorpe, a crunch match. We will go into it 5 points in front, and then suddenly that game's less pressurised on us then, and the onus is on them. While there's no games in hand and all the rest of it, but all we can do is beat what's in front of us. So let's say we don't get the result we want against Scunthorpe, we've still got all those other games thereafter, where if we just keep ticking along, they've then still got to win what is then that game in hand. So then the onus remains with them. So we are really on the front foot if the weekend goes our way.
I think one of the reasons why we've hit this run of form as well is we've got a fully fit squad. We had those injuries and we were still hanging in there. I think we were top for some of that when we had that quite, bad injury list. We've got a full squad. They all know the drill. Whoever comes in, you had Cullen Liebird, who was out last night, I think a work commitment or something. You had Jamie Willits come in, just does the same job. Shakuna got rested last night. Ben Mills came in. Everyone knows their job. Creaney's come back in up front, knows his job. Obviously knows his job. It's a real, it's a solid sort of outfit. And I think the fact we've got everybody back now, I think that's the reason why we're continuing to pick up points, because we can move things about as well if needs be.
Andy Peakes did allude to that in his post-match interview, didn't he? Said we made 3 changes, like seemingly really happy with the performance. I think he's got to take a lot of credit as well, hasn't he? Because he comes across as such a calm presence, and I find his post-match interviews actually really fascinating because he never seems to sort of get too carried away when there's a win. He's still very level-headed yet, and in defeat, very methodical. I just wonder what that's like to play under if you're a member of the squad. Must be brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I enjoy watching those interviews. He's a breath of fresh air. Everything seems, there's got a process behind it, really. His foundations are sort of, working hard for everything. High press, constant menace around the opposition players, and just working hard, really. We must have the fittest team in the league. Because these guys just, Jealous just, I've never seen someone run so much. It's fantastic.
Well, back on Saturday, Tamworth left it late, but they beat Buxton 2-0. Thoughts on this one, Brett?
I'm really pleased with the last 2 results. They're both results that show a lot of character. For the Buxton one, obviously, as we said, they've taken points from a lot of the top teams. They beat us at their place. And I know their form is terrible and near the bottom of the form table, but they've already got that in them, knowing that they beat us at their place. So, yeah, I remember they beat Scunthorpe as well. away. So that's a really positive result. Again, a big crowd, decent result, good performance. They're the ones that you want to come out of Christmas having had such a good run that you can get unstuck with. We didn't, and I'm just really pleased with it.
We didn't really play anywhere near as good as we did on Tuesday, but Buxton never really troubled us that much either. I think we went into the game, as Brett said, knowing that Buxton they'd been struggling. They were near the bottom of the form table. So really, it was kind of like we're at home. We should win this game quite comfortably. It took us to that 82nd minute, and it was a bit of a scrappy goal. Kai Williams came on, and he changed the game really. And I think it was just kind of, it was one of those. I'd say it was almost one of those days, really. And we just got the job done. Then we've come out and done so impressively on Tuesday. So yeah, I think you got to be pleased with it. It's another 3 point. It was another 3 points. But I think I'd imagine after that game, Andy Peaks had said, "Look, come on, we can give a bit more than this." And I guess that's what they did on Tuesday.
I think that's exactly what I mean when I say Andy Peaks doesn't seem to get too carried away, whether it's good or bad. I think after that game, that's exactly when you need someone just to sort of raise your game a little bit. They got the job done, which is brilliant. But on the flip side, you also need to sort of realise we probably aren't going to get away with that every time. And I just wonder as well if we might look back on the Buxton game as a key match, just in the same way we have as Warrington, because I think you need those kind of games, don't you? Sometimes in a winning streak, you need the ones where you just grind it out, just get the win by whatever means necessary.
Yeah, for sure, definitely do. And you're most probably right. It's those ones that you kind of forget about them. Maybe the ones that get you over the line at the end of the season. It's the same as last season, really. I think I remember a game where it was against Rushden, and we got a point, and that point probably might have helped us win the league because about any game. But yeah, it's just one of them, innit?
What I do like about this whole season so far, particularly the start for 2024, is for me, and this is the whole point of a football club and the sport in general, and what a club should mean to someone. It's really taken me back to when I was 14, 15, and the way that I used to look forward every week to going down to the club and watching the games. Obviously, I don't get to go anywhere near that amount anymore, but it's the same kind of excitement for a game as what I had then. I mean, don't get me wrong, last season was a fantastic year for us. We got a great points tally. We scored a lot of goals. We put in some decent performances as well. But that's obviously different when you continue that into a league above with some decent teams in there. Just looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season can play out and then what happens after that.
Bit of transfer news for Tamworth then. Chris Ray has returned to Hartlepool after his loan spell at the Lambs. He signed just as this 6-game winning run got started and seemed to me like he fitted into the side really quickly. Couple of goals. Will Tamworth miss him? Because Creaney's back now. But I mean, he undeniably played a role in this winning run, Ray.
On the evidence of Tuesday, I would say we won't miss him. However, if Dan Creaney were to get injured again, then I think our options are a bit limited. Ty Deacon came on, and he looked bright. But I think we need we'd need another option, obviously, with that. And don't know what's happened to Alex Jones. He's not been in and around the squad for quite a while now. So I said the other day, to you guys. I think if there's one area maybe where we just maybe need a bit of reinforcement, I'd say it's probably another striker. But we have Creaney, we have Deacon, we have Alex Jones. But yeah, potentially, I don't know if we can get Chris Ray again, but they've Hartlepool got a new manager, so I'm sure they wanted to have a look at him.
No, I don't think we'll miss him in the short term. It's just what that looks like in February or March. February is just as, if not tougher than what January is. So if you can't keep everybody fit, and sometimes it's just good to have something fresh and a bit different to turn to as well. So I think we probably do need another, but I'm sure there's a plan somewhere. And if there isn't, then it's obviously not needed or not thought that it's needed.
Might be a benefit of Creaney coming back at this point. He may feel a bit like a new presence because obviously he hasn't played lots of football in the last few months.
Yeah, a bit like a new signing, really. He looked good. He looked good on Tuesday, and when he came in on Saturday as well, he changed the game. Really, the Buxton game, him and Kai Williams. So yeah, he's as long as he's fit and raring to go, then I guess we probably shouldn't worry about it too much. If we get anybody else in, then it's a bonus in it, really. And Ty Deacon can do a job as well. So yeah, we always play with that kind of that one lone striker, which then Shakun is more of a sort of he just kind of plays off the striker, really. So in that formation that we play, so yeah, even he might be an option, I suppose.
Next up, then, Tamworth head to 23rd place Darlington on Saturday. They've lost 4 of their last 5 league games. They're the division's lowest goal scorers with 19 overall. And Tamworth beat them 4-0 at home in October. What chance of a repeat?
I think this is going to be much tougher than what we probably think. I mean, they've got Steve Watson in charge, who's only been there for 2 games, but I mean, he's a highly experienced manager. I think I guess they'll probably try and shut up shop. I don't know, and just make it difficult for us, I imagine, because at the moment, just kind of listening to their post-match interview following their loss to Southport on Tuesday, there's a lot of work to do there, and whether they can get themselves out of the mess that they're in, and it's a bit of a shame for a big club like Darlington to be down there, but I suppose they are where they are. But they've got a good manager in Steve Watson, so to get them out of that, but hopefully not starting with Tamworth on Saturday. I think as long as we do what we do and we play like we did against Warrington, we should be absolutely fine. But it's that new manager bounce thing, isn't it? So we've got to be at our best.
I'm not worried about Darlington on Saturday. It's a long trip, but I know they've got the new manager bounce. It's a bit like Russian and Diamonds last season. I think we played them the same sort of time after Christmas. Similar kind of position in the table. And I think we ended up having a really good result against them in the end of that game. And then we went off and continued where we let off before. So I think on the back of the results we've had, we're going full of confidence. I think it should be another good day for us on Saturday. We don't want to drop the ball on this one. Going into Scunthorpe, then I don't want to say we have to win or we need to win to put pressure on ourselves, but we could really, really do with a win on Saturday, just to give us that extra edge against Scunthorpe. And I think if we were to lose on Saturday, then that will give Scunthorpe a second wind, if you like, as well. They'll be looking and saying, right, okay, they lost on Saturday. now's our chance to jump on this and spin it back on its head again. So really, really important, I think, that we do win this and go into it with that 5-point buffer. I'm going to say that Scunthorpe could lose as well on Saturday, but that are obviously the drop points against Boston, local derby, by the way. I can't see them losing either.
I'm kind of the opposite to that a little bit with Scunthorpe. I said they'd lose points at somewhere in these two games, and I think they had a bad second half against Boston at home. And Brackley, they're starting to turn the corner a bit. To go away there, they're probably, I would say, one of the best teams we've played this season. I think Scunthorpe could be dropping points there. They've got they've got pressure on them now. There's a huge expectation for them to go up. Huge. Their fans obviously expect it. Could it just get to them a little bit? I just think that's a difficult game for them. We've definitely got the more favourable game before playing them, but we've got to go there and get the job done. As Brett says, it is a game that we do have to win. Yeah, we do have to win. We have to come away with a minimum point, but really we want to be coming away with 3 points going into that Scunthorpe game. Momentum, whatever, we don't want to be worrying about them really, what result they're getting. But I do think they'll drop points on Saturday. I'm going to stand by that.
Let's not forget, Graham, you have staked your prediction on Brackley doing quite well this season, so there is extra spice in it for you, I suppose.
Yeah, it's very spicy indeed.
I think as well, if I was a Scunthorpe fan, I probably would be looking a little bit now at Tamworth's games and maybe trying to plot a path as to where points might be dropped, because that's a really horrible feeling when the momentum shifts like that.
I just think Tamworth don't have the same pressure as Scunthorpe. We go back to the start of the season, no one expected us to be at the top. We are at the top now, and we're and everyone's just enjoying it. You can see the players are enjoying it; they're loving it. With Scunthorpe, it's more of it's a bit like, not quite the same probably, but it's a bit like what we were last season when we were like, right, every game we expect to win. It's we kind of have to go up, really. And I feel like that's the kind of mentality for Scunthorpe.
Just on Scunthorpe and the home game, start of the season, first game of the season, we more than matched them in the end. And I think, hopefully, it'll end up being irrelevant anyway. But I think if we'd have had just a little bit more of a competitive pre-season, we'd have got something from that game. We went into it naive. I think still very much in a lot of ways trying to play like how we played last season, start of the season. It took us quite a while to adjust to the higher level. Whereas I think if we'd have just had one or two more competitive pre-season games, that Scunthorpe result's different. Hopefully it will make absolutely no difference whatsoever. But I remember thinking back to that actually either Scunthorpe aren't going to be as good as they think or everyone thought, or we are going to be actually very, very good this season. Hopefully it's turning out to be the latter.
There might be a name that you both recognise on Saturday when Tamworth travels to Darlington. Scott Barrow, of course, recently joined on loan. It'll be quite a while, I suppose, since Tamworth fans would have seen him play, I imagine. I can't think of when he would have last faced Tamworth, if at all.
I don't think he would have since because he left to go to Macclesfield, I think, or a couple of league clubs. I'm pretty sure he's pretty much always played higher than Tamworth since he left. But it'll be interesting to see how he's received. Should be received well. He was a good servant to the club.
They get a good reception from the Tamworth fans, I'm sure. Because they say, he had a song named after him, didn't he? He had a song, I can't remember how it goes, but I'm not going to sing it. But
Our player's on the left. His name's Scott
There
Barrow.
he is.
Close up wide. He comes in narrow. Picks up the ball. He shoots like an arrow. Oh, Scotty Barrow.
There we go. There we go. That's gonna have to be going on the Instagram stories, I'm sure. I think he'll get a good reception. He was a player that worked really hard, and not too dissimilar to kind of players that we've got now. So, should get good reception.
To round things off as just a bit of fun, I was wondering if either of you could guess Darlington's highest ever league finish. Brett, do you want to go first?
16th in League One.
Do you want to hazard a guess as to the season as well, just to add to it?
2002.
Graham, any advance?
Third in League One, 1998.
So you were both absolutely miles off. Graham, I think marginally nearer in terms of the actual position, but miles off in terms of the season. So they finished 15th in the old Division 2. So the equivalent of the Championship now in the 1925-26 season.
It could be in the Northern Premier League next season.
It is predictions time. A reminder, in our predictions mini league, you get 1 point for a correct result and 3 points for getting the scoreline exactly correct. On our last episode, Graham, you predicted a 3-0 win for Tamworth against Buxton. Brett, you said Tamworth would win 2-0. The score was, of course, 2-0, which means 3 points for you, Brett, for that game. Well done. Graham, obviously you get the 1, but points win prizes, and a little gap is starting to form in the mini league. For the Warrington game, though, Graham, you said Tamworth would win 2-1. Brett, you went for a 1-1 draw. So, Graham, point to you for that. Brett, 0 points if you didn't get the result correct. What that does for our overall mini league standings. So, Graham, you're up to 7 points, but Brett now on 11 points. Getting those results bang on is absolutely crucial if you want to come out on top.
Hopefully the club perform the same way.
Yeah, no, I've got nothing to say about it, really. It's disappointing.
What I want to know now, Brett, what do you think the score will be away to Darlington?
3-0 Tamworth.
Wow. And Graham?
I'm actually going to say Darlington 0, Tamworth 1. I think it will be more difficult than what we think, and they're going to probably put up a bit of a guard, but I think we'll get the job done.
That's all for this episode. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do give it a like and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking the subscribe button and turning on video notifications. Until next time, goodbye.